So let's talk about the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, which is releasing the status report on Nigeria's investment environment during the second quarter of the year, a period of virus lockdown and fireworks by the BUHARI'S administration at containing the pandemic and keeping the economy running. Joining me now from Abuja studios is Yewande Sadiku, the Executive Secretary of the NIPC. Yewande, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Bosun. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you. Let's hit the ground running. This is breaking news. Bring us the second quarter status report of the NIPC.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Clearly, the pandemic has had a destructive effect on economies across the world. From IMF estimates, the reality is that the world expects a contraction in just about all the economies. In Nigeria, the investment impact is no less than what we expected in the rest of the world. In the first instance, the estimate is that foreign direct investment flows, which accounts for most of the investments that the world records, is expected to shrink in 2020-2021. UNCTAD's estimates, which were prepared in March, estimated that there will be a 30 to 40% decline from the numbers that were recorded in 2019. As the pandemic obviously has continued and as the economic effect has worsened, the expectation is that those numbers will be depressed even further. At NIPC, as you know, we have a newsletter through which we track investment flows. We track investment announcements that are made. They're not the same as actual investments, but they give us a sense of investor interest. And the report for the first half of 2020 should be released tomorrow. Not surprisingly, the pressure that we expected came through. We saw investment interest in terms of investment announcements, and I dare to say these are investment announcements, not actual investments. They still need to be followed to translate to actual investments. But we saw investment announcements of about 5.05 billion tracked through our newsletter. This is about a third of what was recorded in the same period last year. In the first half of 2019, it was about 15.15 billion of investment announcements. For the first half of 2020, it's 5 billion. But we're seeing interest from, they're not really new entrants to the league tables in that sense. But the biggest investment announcements that we saw for this quarter, for this half year, came from Kaduna State, from Nasarawa, and from Ekiti State. And it underscores the work that many state governments are increasingly doing to attract investor attention to their quarters.
So we're trying to put the some of the charts that tables you sent to us onto the TV screen for our viewers to see, and you can talk to them in terms of this, okay, in terms of these numbers. And thank you very much for bringing this in. Like you said, these were investment announcements and not the actual dollar on the table, as it were. So this is talking about the 33 projects. I'm looking at the bottom right of my TV screen right now. Explain that to me, Yewande.
Yes. Okay, so in the first half of 2019, it shows that the projects that NIPC tracks through its newsletter, there were 33 projects that were announced for 15 states and the FCT, some also in the Niger Delta region, versus the first half of 2019, where we had 43 projects in 10 states and the FCT, and then some that were offshore. Essentially, this gives us a sense of where investors are investing in Nigeria, what sectors they're interested in, and the like. It gives us a directional sense and allows us to advise government on policy changes that are required to reverse the trend or to push the trend in the direction that we think will be optimal. We've spent a lot of time, particularly this year, on engaging with our partners at state level to improve subnational investor capacity, to have more subnational investment promotion, because the investments, as you know, even though they come to Nigeria, will principally sit in the states. But the document that you have You see shaded in red on the right-hand side, the 5.06 billion reflects the announcements that were tracked in the first half of 2020. So 33 projects in 15 states, the FCT and the Niger Delta region, compared to the similar period for last year, where we saw 43 projects, 10 states, the FCT, and offshore. If
we flip over this graphical illustration to the second one, very quickly, Yewande, within the couple of minutes we have left to do this show. This is a bit of a bigger picture. What does this tell me in terms of the breakdown that you're talking about across where the various sectors that the investors were interested in?
So this view doesn't give you a sector view. For the sector view, I'll encourage viewers to check out the publication that comes out in NIPC's newsletter tomorrow. What this gives is a sense of what we've tracked across the 3.5 odd years that we've now tracked this. It shows that in 2017, we tracked investments of 66.35 billion. In 2018, we tracked announcements of 90.89 billion versus 2019, where we saw investment announcements of 29.91 billion. The numbers that we've tracked for the first half of 2020, as I said, are about a third of what we tracked in the corresponding period last year. And the numbers in reality are no different from what we expect, and similar trends that will be recorded across the world.
So what's your outlook, Yewande, on the rest of the year 2020?
We believe that many economies will be focused on investment-driven growth, and we believe that many will be focused on getting their investors to look internally and invest inward, what we call in Nigeria domestic direct investments. And we think that will be useful in driving investment into Nigeria as well, and we've seen that from the conversations we're having with investors as well. We also think that impact investment will be more important now. It will be a lot more interesting. We think that investors would look, returns will always be important to investors, of course, but we think that increasingly investors will consider the impact that their investments will have, because we've underscored now the relevance of that. We also think that there will be an increase in domestic manufacturing capacity of whatever is considered essential or critical for that country.
Yewande
so these
Sadiku.
are just a few of the trends that we expect to see.
Yewande, thank you so much. Yewande Sadiku, Head of Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, Executive Secretary. Thank you very much for coming through on the show.